Hello everyone. My name is Elise. Welcome to my channel. I hope you're all doing so good today. We are doing my book haul for the month of June. I'm very excited. I have a decent amount of books. For the majority of the month, I was like, oh my God, I'm doing so great. I've only brought in like 5 books this month. It's gonna be amazing. And then some opportunities were presented to me to buy some more, and I took them. So here we are. I think we have 9 books to go over now. So at this point for the month, if you know I'm tracking my books in and out, let's hope I can at least match the number so I don't go in the negative any more than I already am. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the books. Now, typically I go over my pre-orders first in book hauls. I've just sort of gotten into that habit, and I'm going to do the opposite today. So I'm going to go over the books that I sort of just bought randomly, and then we will go over the 4 pre-orders that I have. So the 2 that I got the most recently are Who Killed My Father? This is a little slip of a thing. This is by Edouard, and it's translated from the French. Let me see by whom. This is translated from the French by Lorin, Stein, and it's published by New Directions. It's like so little, but I think this cover is absolutely gorgeous. And this was in my most anticipated books video. I think the last one that came out. I can link it down below if you're curious to see what other books I was hotly anticipating. But this one is supposed to be a critique on the French government and classism, I believe. So it's about his father dying, and he's basically accusing the government of being complicit in his death because they don't treat people well. And basically saying that, like, you know, if you're poor and you don't have the resources to be able to take care of yourself, then you're sort of just screwed. So I think this is gonna be great. I was not expecting it to be this little. So we shall see how in-depth it goes, and the margins are like pretty big as well. So I think this will be really quick. I'm probably gonna get to this very soon. So yeah, this is Who Killed My Father, and this is nonfiction, if that wasn't already clear. Yeah, this is nonfiction. All right, so that is the first one. Next up, we have Bad Handwriting. This is by Sara, Mesa, and this is a collection of short stories, and it's translated from the Spanish by Whittemore. So this is a part of a triptych that came out from Open Letter. So it's published by Open Letter. And they started doing these triptychs a couple of years ago now, where they pick like one area or one language more specifically, let a translator choose 3 different books that they want to translate from that language. And the first one that they ever did was Whittemore, the translator, and this is one of the ones she picked. I own the other 2, and these are going to be in my publisher taste test video for Open Letter. There is another book that I will also be reading for that, a new release that comes out later in 2023. So I won't be making that video until that one comes out, but this is the last one I needed from the triptych in order to have them all. So that is Bad Handwriting. And I guess I can tell you what this says on the back a little bit. So there's 11 short stories in here in total. And these are tackling themes of childhood and adolescence, guilt and redemption, power and freedom. So there's some stories where children resist authority and experience the process of growing up with shock and loneliness. There's one with alienated young girls whose rebellion lies under the surface. So I think it sounds kind of in that vein where it's going to be following younger protagonists. So yeah, I'm intrigued for this, and I'll be reading it later in the year. So that is Bad Handwriting. Next up, we have another one that was in my most anticipated releases video, one of them at least, maybe the first one. And it's This Is Not Miami by Fernanda Melchior. This is translated from the Spanish by Sophie Hughes. This is an essay collection, and I have never read Fernanda Melchior before, but I have wanted to, except the 2 novellas that she currently has translated into English. Everyone talks about how direct the misogyny is, and they come from male characters' points of view. And I totally see the value in writing that. I personally just don't get a lot from reading that perspective. So for that reason, I think this is going to be the best entry point for me to read Fernanda Melchior. So I was very excited when I found out that she was coming out with this essay collection, or at least that it was getting translated. And this is set around Veracruz, where she lives. So this says it's probing deeply into the motivations of murderers and misfits, into their desires and circumstances, forcing us to understand them and even empathize despite our wish to simply label them as monsters. So that sounds very intriguing. I'm really looking forward to this, and it's also very short. So This Is Not Miami. Next, we have one that I'm planning to read for a while, and that is Vagina Obscura. This is by Rachel E. Gross. And this is a nonfiction that came onto my radar when I did a reaction video to the PEN Awards this year. I did a reaction specifically to the translated category. But while I was looking at all of the different subsections, the science category looked so good. There were so many books that I was interested in reading, and this is one of the ones I was interested in the most. So I had plans to read it already. I have the audiobook available from my library, but I wanted to also get a physical copy so I could annotate it. The reason why I'm not just reading it physically and annotating is because the font is so small. Like, it's very tiny, and I'm gonna need the audiobook to listen to it, so I don't have to read that tiny font. So still gonna annotate it, but gonna like do a tandem read. And this is, basically what it says it is. It gets into the history of the vagina, and it's supposed to give like a fresh perspective. So I'm excited to read this. So that is Vagina Obscura. This one, I should say, is published by Norton, and I don't think I said who this was published by. This is published by New Directions as well. So the next one we have here was a little bit of an impulse buy. So I've been intrigued about this book for a while, and I just haven't been able to get the premise out of my mind. And so when I saw it, I was like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it, and we'll see how it goes. This is Venomous Lumpsucker. It's by Ned Bowman, and it is published by Soho. And this one is supposed to be a climate fiction novel where we're in this future where you can basically pay to make an animal become extinct, or like to kill the last of a specific animal. And people are trying to save, there's a climate group that's trying to save this venomous lumpsucker, the last of its kind, and sort of about the battle of like the people who want to make it go extinct and this group that does not want it to go extinct. So it seems very intriguing. I just love the premise. No idea how I'll get along with the writing, but I'm definitely excited. And this cover is very cool. I really like it. So that is Venomous Lumpsucker. And the last book before we get into the pre-orders might sound familiar to you if you saw my last book haul, but this is Like a Sword Wound by Ahmet Altan, and it's published by Europa. And this one is the first in a series that I bought a book for last month. So I bought Dying is Easier Than Loving, I think that's the title, by the same author, and then realized upon doing my book haul that it was the third in a series. So this is the first in that series, and this is a historical fiction series about the Ottoman Empire, which doesn't sound like something I would normally pick up, so who knows what I was even thinking when I bought the third one. I just love the title, honestly. I just love the title. But yeah, it takes place in the 20th century when the Ottoman Empire collapsed. And I think it's following multiple perspectives, but it says the 4 books in the quartet tell the gripping stories of an unforgettable cast of characters. Among them, an Ottoman army officer, the Sultan's personal doctor, a scion of the royal house whose Western education brings him into conflict with his family's legacy, and a beguiling Turkish aristocrat who, while fond of her emancipated life in Paris, finds herself drawn into a conservative Muslim spiritual leader. So yeah, I'm intrigued. I wonder if this is going to be like one book from each perspective. Not really sure. Unclear, but I'm committed now. I have 2 books in the series, so we're freaking doing it. And I should say, this is translated from the Turkish by Brenden Freely and Yelda Turedi. So yeah, I'm intrigued. This one's definitely shorter than the 3rd one in the series, because part of why I bought that 3rd one is it was gonna be one of my like Picante Beef Babies I was reading for the year, a book over 500 pages. Alas, probably won't be getting to that 3rd book this year. Who knows? Maybe I just love it and race through it. But yeah, now I have the 1st one, and I do want to get to this one in this year, so I can at least start off on the series. So that is Like a Sword Wound. All right, now we're into the pre-orders for the month. So the first one is one that I have just been waiting for the whole year. I think this is my most anticipated novel of the year, and I am so happy to finally have it in my hands. That is the Book of Eve. This is by Carmen Boullosa, and this is translated from the Spanish by Samantha Schnee, and it's published by Deep Vellum. So I should say, they also sent me a bunch of little extras along. I put them in the book so I could show you. So let me see if I can pull them out. How did they get so stuck in here? I'm unclear. Okay. Nothing ripped. It just sounded like it ripped. So they gave me a couple bookmarks. So here these are. I really like them. So those were inside. They also gave me a couple stickers as well that are very cool. They also sent me this postcard, but it is like fully filled out on the back. I don't want to turn it around because it has someone's address and it has a message, and I don't want to put that up here. But I'm like, I should probably send this, right? Like, this just got in here accidentally is my thinking. So should I send this? I don't know. You tell me. Or is this like a thing they do? Does somebody know if this is a thing they do of sending you postcards that are completed to other people? I don't know. But yeah, those were all the little extra bits that they included. So appreciative of that. But yeah, I'm so excited for this book. You've probably heard me talk about it numerous times. But this is a retelling of the Book of Genesis from Eve's perspective. And I think it's supposed to be a feminist retelling. She's trying to set the record straight, and I cannot wait for it. Also, look at this cover. My God, it's so good. So that is the Book of Eve. Next up, we have one from my Coffeehouse Press subscription for the year, and that is When the Hibiscus Falls by Evalina Galang, and this is a collection of short stories. Is this translated all? I don't think it is. No, I don't think it is. So this is the only short story collection in the subscription for the time period that I'm subscribed for. And this has 17 stories that are talking about borderlines, mythic and real, and it's also talking about the lives of Filipino and Filipino American women and their ancestors. So I'm very excited to have this and get into it. So yeah, that is When the Hibiscus Falls, also a gorgeous cover. Next one, we have Demoiselles of Numeria, and this is by Mohamed Leftah, and it's translated from the Arabic by Laura Vergard. And this one is published by Other Press. This is also a short story collection. I got a lot of short story collections this month, I'm just now realizing. But this follows sex workers in Morocco, and that's pretty much why I got it. So I haven't read from that perspective before. I will say I'm going in cautious that it's written by a man and it's following female sex workers. So we'll see what the representation is like. Try and suss out whether or not it feels like it's being done in a respectful way, maybe is what I'll say. So yeah, that is Demoiselles of Numeria. And last but not least, we have another short story collection from Charco Press. I really did not realize that I did so many of these, but here we are. This is called Fresh Dirt from the Grave. It is by Giovanna Rivero, and it's translated from the Spanish by Isabel Addy. And this author is Bolivian, which I don't think I've read any literature from Bolivia this year so far. And this one says, in Fresh Dirt from the Grave, a hillside is an emerald saddle teeming with evil and beauty. It is this collision of harshness and tenderness that animates Rivero's short stories, who wear no degree of darkness. Buried bodies, lost children, wild paroxysms of violence can take away from the gentleness she shows all violated creatures. That sounds very intriguing as well. So yeah, I'm excited to have this in my hands. This is one of 3 Charco presses that I have pre-ordered for the year. The other 2 are still on their way to me, will be getting published later in the year. So very excited to have all of these. So we have 9 books here. Let me try and lift them. I have the tiniest one on the bottom. Let me fix that. 9 books here, a lot of short story collections. I think 5 short story collections, 1 essay collection. So here we go, folks. These are the books. Can't wait to get to all of them. Let me know if you have read any of these books, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.